Well, peace and love, y'all. Peace and love. Put you back on again. The co-host from yesterday. People were hitting me up about her too. I haven't been able to go through my phone though, man. I've been so busy. Yeah, Captain Jade. Captain Jade. Yeah, Captain Jade is true. Listen, I haven't been able to upload nothing. I'm gonna get on. Listen, I got a seminar today. I was in the studio doing music, recorded a couple songs. All business due to that. I forgot to talk to her to make sure I can even upload this. I have the permission from her. You hear me? I didn't get no permission from her. She said I can upload. Put it on. It shows that she's on. I got a mic on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Hey, people were hitting me up about you there. And I got your text messages too. I want you to know that, hey, I didn't know you was already out there helping the community. You hear me? I had
I got a little bit of an echo, and I'm having a little bit of a hard time hearing what you're saying.
I'm away from the mic right now.
Oh, okay. Were you asking me a question? Or just saying that you were in New York?
One second. No, I had some of my, I had a lot of people that I've already been helping. And, they know who you are.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. I really enjoyed the conversation yesterday, and I don't know if anybody had any questions about what we talked about, with the deposit, and I forgot what we talked about.
Yeah, there's some people, yeah, I did too. I haven't even had a chance to go over it. People love everybody.
Okay.
So, no, we're not licensed attorneys or tax experts.
No.
So we got Money Dog, he does peace, Russ does peace and love room, Jeff does peace and God, Bitches does peace and love. Farewell You says happy holidays to you and yours. Yes, that's Gregory Taylor says peace, Robin says peace and love. Farewell You says last night was legendary. Laid on and didn't stop. Question, and so we all have questions. I'll tell you the running. That was the first. But me personally, people want to know how I make money besides my business. I do utilize cannabis, so I felt when it comes to the truth, it was easy to tell the truth because I don't have to remember nothing. You have to remember your life. You don't really have to remember your truth. So that's why I like a monetary gain off the truth and helping people. Can you hear me? Some people say they can't hear me.
It's still coming in a little bit muffled, and so I'm catching every other word.
Someone says sounds like I'm underwater. If I hang up, then I'll have to
cancel the call.
No, y'all stay on. I'll call back on my phone.
Cool.
I can do that.
All right.
All right, so just 1 second.
Gotta make this quick because my battery is dead.
Hey, can everybody hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. I was just saying that my battery is dying, and so I've been on the phone all day with group members, and I really enjoyed the conversation that we had yesterday. And I also want to put out the note that if anybody has recorded my conversation, that it should remain private within this group, because I don't want other people to be posting my videos like they often do without my permission. Everything changes, you know, like what I come up with is going to be changing. So I don't know who the audience is or what people are actually looking for. And I don't want to come across that I was being, you know, belligerent or trying to take over the conversation as I did last night, and I apologize for that. So if anybody wants to reach out, everybody has my email now, which is private, and I will talk to everybody individually as everybody has different issues and they're on different learning with the steps that they have been taking. So any questions from like last night, what we were talking about, Don Kilam, that you've heard?
No, I mean, they was putting stuff in the chat, but me personally, I just need to go back through it and listen to everything. But I definitely appreciate you. I know greatness when I see it. I definitely appreciate your due diligence and the time you took to even study and put forth the effort to learn it. Because, you know, we truly learn from the applied knowledge. It's not the knowledge. It's when we apply it that we get to enter and understand it.
Right. So. And last night I was talking about, like, making things into deeds, and that was my wish. And then that could be converted into a trust because a trust special deposit. So does anybody like have any questions like what we talked about last night? Or you just don't know?
Somebody got an LLC in Wyoming and the trust established the correction documents in a local court. Talking about status correction.
So is that the question? Like status correction with the LLC and the trust?
They said after your record status correction documents in local court, I have LLC in Wyoming and trust established the treasury process. Like, I don't even know if that's a question. I don't know. That's what they put in it.
So what I was telling Ozzy and other people within the group today was that I love what Don Kilam has done with his LLC. And it can act as a pass-through entity or as a trustee for your trust. So when you have a trust, you have a domestic trust, you have a foreign trust, you have a domestic estate, you have a foreign estate, you have a domestic LLC, you have a foreign LLC. And then they create the duality within the system. So when you want, like the typical process is that, okay, I'm going to do a set-off bond, I'm going to do a indemnity bond, I'm going to do a hold harmless bond to the Treasury, right? So you're depositing your birth certificate. And this is all covered with Peter under the Secured Creditor video. And I haven't met Peter, but I would like to meet Peter. So if anybody's got his contact, do put me in contact with Peter. So he follows mainly Patrick Devine's material, which wasn't, airtight, because people get confused with the live man and the entities. So when you make like a bailment agreement, and this is what I was telling Ozzy today, then you need to identify who the bailee is and who the bailor is. And that bailee name is your all uppercase in red. And your bailor name is your all uppercase in blue. So when I merge blue and red together, I get purple royalty.
Correct.
And that's your
the royalty, correct. Correct.
Right.
Now,
and so that's why they have on the...
So what, just so you know, so before I could make sense of all these different roles, so you tell them, the Bailey, this is why I teach people the LLC side first.
Yeah.
They can start to understand different seats and
different
titles.
seats, different titles,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like I was telling people that you have your LLC, that can be one arm, and then that arm could be a trustee of your inter vivos trust, and your you can have a trust be a trustee of your trust, so that you don't have the trustee as the beneficiary, because if the trustee and the beneficiary are the same, the trust collapses. So you have to have another entity as the trustee, right? Because your name is the grantor, and you granted assets into trust or into your LLC. So then you have to have an entity who, you're the director or you're the president of your LLC, but then I'm going to utilize your LLC as you are the director of that LLC. I'm going to put another hat on you, and I'm going to call you the co-trustee of this other trust. And so you would sign your name as the director of the LLC, as the co-trustee of the trust.
Hey, look. Here's why I'm laughing. It's because on the public side, because I help people do business acquisitions, right? So when I'm helping them, I get my percentage as founding director. You understand? That's my title. If I don't have nothing, if I don't work for their business or anything, when I go in do if I do an acquisition or go in to get funding, I sign my name as a founding director. That's my title.
I see.
Yeah, but they're wanting to know, do you still have YouTube videos? People
I took it all down. And other people re-uploaded some of my videos without my permission, and they tried to utilize it.
I
everything was taken down.
I was on Facebook Live last night and Instagram Live. I'll be sure to take those down after class today. So
it'll travel. Yeah. All my stuff is all backed up in the Vatican.
No, but I'm talking about
already.
The call last night. So I'll make sure to take that off.
Okay. You were going live on Facebook. Okay, cool.
Instagram, but I'll make sure to take them down. Don't worry about that. I'll take them down.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love you guys. I respect you guys, and I want you guys to respect the privacy because
I went crazy for a while, so I respect you because you seem pretty well balanced, because our people can really drain your energy on this knowledge. They want everything from you, and they just want to understand it. And they can't get the clarity unless they're taking the steps.
Correct.
They're taking the steps to file the certain paperwork and then read between the lines, too. When people respond, like I was helping somebody with their I feel like I've mastered foreclosure processes and mortgage processes.
Okay,
That's
good.
why I love how you're talking to me, because the way you're talking to me is like a mortgage and foreclosure process. We're always talking about deeds,
Yeah, I love foreclosure.
Yeah, man, I love it too.
That's a great opportunity for those who are looking for land, because I say that a free man needs to have his land, and it needs to, you can look at like the tax office for abandoned lands, and they have tax sales everywhere, and you could get, the land, because you need your land in order to implant your estate on the land.
Yeah. So when I was first learning, because, once you start learning after a while and you go back to the basics, you're like, wow. So when I finally seen it, it was revealed to me. My higher power revealed to me how easy it was, how they convert the land patents, the property descriptions, like how they did the conversion process of doing that. I think it's so simple that it's genius. I really think.
It is. They're mastermind at all of the transfers of when you go to the county and you make a deposit, you're actually gifting the state your land. And they have a beneficial interest in the land.
As soon as you get approved, that means you own the land. As soon as you get approved for a mortgage or promissory note or anything like that, they're agreeing that you own the land. So that blows my mind.
And then they put you into a security agreement where you're the
you own the land.
And then they switch.
Then you give it to them. Yeah, you give it to them.
Yeah.
Now you pay them for it.
So basically, you gift it to them, and now you're due the OID back.
Right. Yep, that's
and they bifurcated the title. So you're dealing with the title of the mortgage, and you're dealing with the securitization of the security people. So you're dealing with two different trusts. You got to handle both of them. You got to give them the instrument to discharge both of the different events, so you can have the release of the title.
After our administrative process, and they go on default after the affidavits. And I tell people, even with basic disputes, if they don't respond to you certified mail, you refuse the contract with them, because they're not abiding by the rules and agreements. But
right, you can make a new contract. You can make them respond to you with certified mail, and if they don't do that, then you got no contract.
Right, I black my name out, and then I put return to sender, refuse the contract. But
exactly. I wish you would do the rubber stamp and sell that, refuse for cause, mail fraud. Do that.
Yeah.
Anybody,
Yeah. Well, I want to say my IRS,
because people
with the mortgage and foreclosures, I included after the 1099A I usually do like 3 to 7 days a week, and before I do the OID, but we included Form 1066.
Okay. Good.
And
you need to do the ABC 1099 and the OID with what you were doing, which is the 1041, right? Is that for your trust or your estate?
Yeah, the estate, and then there's a Form 1066, and that's the refund for the REMIC. You're assessing a tax on the REMIC, the real estate mortgage investment conduit. Because a lot of people don't even understand what conduit is. They don't even understand this stuff, man. And Series 7 training.
Everything. You want to talk about that? Because I think that was like a revelation with the OID
like with Series 7, that's when I'm gonna show people up here too. So that's when I really learned that the court, because when you're going into court, you're really in the it's a stock market. Like you're going, it's called really a stock warrant. You look up what a stock warrant is.
A warrant is a check, yeah.
And you're the investor. You're the main investor for everything. So that's what I was learning in with
You're
Series
the preferred stockholder.
Yes. The preferred stockholder, yes. You got all the lingo. You follow vocab. You was a vocab class. But, yeah.
So I really love what you were showing with the letter from the IRS with the OID. That's how I learned about the conference call, because I just happened to come across the video. And it was a week late, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, I hope he lets me in the class. And I was impressed, that you had filled out your 1041, and they were missing like one form or something, and they were telling you, don't give us all of your other records. We just need this form.
Yeah,
and everything's kosher.
And I learned that with dealing with the federal judge, if you ask the questions, if you have correct standing and they're answering your questions, they're telling you the truth, because they're not even supposed to be talking to you. So you make sure you answer the right question. So I asked him, I said, why is it you can charge me? Now he's talking to me. He's like, because right now it says right here that you're black. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute, you know? And that's when I started digging deep, even with the Constitution. But a stock warrant is a financial contract between a company and investors that gives the investor the option to purchase the company's stock at a specific price.
Right, and that he's doing a bid bond or a performance bond.
Yeah.
And he's doing, he's doing a call or a put, and that's why it's all securitization for the court case.
So would you agree that a bail bondsman is a form of a stockbroker?
Yes, I would agree that he's a third-party intermediary with a master bonding company, and that I would accept that bond contract for value too.
Okay.
Because I ain't the surety. If somebody else put the surety and read the bond contract, because it says you don't even get a presentment if we bill you wrong. I was like, hell no, I'm not going to sign no bail agreement like that. Hell no. I don't even get a presentment if you bill me wrong. I'm going to get you on accounting fraud, no matter what you do.
Right.
So
exactly. I learned that from Gene Keaton because I didn't understand how important the general rules of the principles
GAAP
of accounting. Yeah, I didn't know that they had to go by those guidelines. I didn't know how important that was as well for banking. And when I started having comprehension of what was going on with those rules, it really blew my mind, and that's when I really.
Well, I can't wait for you to get your Series 7 license to look up everyone's birth certificate, although when you do look it up, it's going to have a tag on it that nobody else can look it up, so you got to download the Bloomberg screenshots right away. Otherwise, you lose it, and no one else can see it. That's what you're getting a Series 7 license for, and to understand how they do all their securitization.
Correct.
Which, if you want to know how they do the securitization, just look at their pooling and servicing agreement and the 425B6 or whatever that they file with the SEC. But if you're dealing with the city or the county municipal corporation bonds, you're not going to see any of that. And you have to find out who their main custodian trustees are. And they usually have one head for the state that does some of the securitization, but it's under the counter. Municipal bonds don't have to be registered with the SEC, and they don't follow the SEC rules.
Correct. That's correct.
So they got their own little, game stocking, doing whatever the fuck they want without any accountability. But they still have to follow some SEC rules. They're just not registered that you can see it. The same thing with your student loans. These are unregistered securities through the Treasury Department if you've got the federal student loan. Now, if you got a private student loan, that's got a 10-year moratorium for statutes of limitations, so don't pay them for 10 years. And then they have to go away anyways. So, when you discharge the debt, that's what everybody gets into. This. How am I going to do my A4B? How am I going to do my instrument? Well, you haven't proven your maturity yet. You haven't shown me that you have your account set up with your entities, your nonprofit, your LLCs, your pass-through entity LLC, and your trust and your estate and your will. You haven't proven to me that you have any rights to any of these securities that you're holding on to the bailment as the bailee debtor. So that's what the status correction is to say that this is the bailee, this is the bailor, this is the secured creditor, this is the debtor. And the name in red is all uppercase, is the debtor. And now I'm seeing cases where the courts are coming in and they're putting the last name upper and lowercase, comma, first and middle name. So if you forgot to put those names on your security agreements and all of the different names that you're doing business as on your tombstone, then you don't got all the names in all the accounts. So what happens is that the Social Security is tied into your Federal Reserve account. And the Social Security has a block on it because of the minor disability, which we were talking about yesterday. When I call you an incompetent because you can't handle your own estate affairs, then you're a civilly dead person to me, and I can administer your estate. So if either one, you're incarcerated, two, you have mental disability. 3, you're legally disabled because you can't handle your estate affairs. So I got to put a guardian over your estate and treat you like a minor and a ward of the state. So you want to remove your minor disability. And like I said last night, Ken Doss had brought to my attention the PKI key with the Treasury, which is one of the keys that they're utilizing for your biometric ID, which they're accessing your master accounts. So then you don't have access to them, but you're sitting over here writing instruments with your social security number, and you got a minor disability over there at the Social Security office, and everybody and their goddamn mama at the Treasury and at the Federal Reserve knows it. So why are you not removing your minor disability, telling them that you're going to be operating in this trust? This trust holds all the assets or wherever that is being held, and then you tender the bond because you have to release your debtor vessel out of captivity. It's now in jail. So it's under wardship. That's like jail. And I've heard people being chained to the desks of, the court and chain this and chain that. And I'm like, yeah, because they're about to administer your estate, debtor. Understand that. So because you're an incompetent, unlike Don Kilam, who knows how to do his tax accounting to assess the taxes, you will be treated as a debtor enemy combatant number 1. And then they think they're doing it for your benefit. So I was asked today, did you do your trust? Do you have your trust? I said, I make trusts all the time. I sit here and I make a trust right here with you right here, right now. Okay? I can make a trust in the court. I can verbally give a trust, and it will be done. I don't need to write anything. That's why I don't care about status.
And people, see, a lot of people don't understand that, too. If that's true status correction is if you understand it and then you can express it. That's what the Constitution was an express trust. But like I'm showing people public information right now, so when I'm showing
when I bring up the Constitution, I say that I'm the live heir of this constitutional trust. Okay, now all you guys, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary, you all work for me because you guys took an oath to this Constitution. So now you work for me.
Correct.
That's all that I use the Constitution for. If you know what it is, right? If you know that it's a trust, just express the trust.
So, like, if
and then
you
make
can
them abide by it.
You can do a simple Google search, and when you see it says, to whom does the U.S. government owe money? So it shows U.S. individuals and institutions, then the U.S. Social Security Trust Fund. And this is with any of the debts.
Okay, the U.S. Social Security Trust Fund is for your benefit, I don't want to say straw man, but it's for your account, and it's that Social Security is the beneficiary. Now, you need to move your beneficial interest of your rights, title, and interest for your beneficiary over to your private trust. And that's how you get it out of the public hands. That's all just a trust as well. And the Secretary of Treasury, again, is one of the 4 trustees over that trust fund, and it will be liquidated before.
Yeah. They work for you.
They work for you. They're the trustee. You're the beneficiary.
Somebody they asked about the mortgages and stuff, too. So this is public information, too, when you start looking into mortgage-backed securities. And it shows you that there's 2 common types of mortgage-backed securities, and that's pass-through and then when you collateralize it. And a pass-through is utilizing a trust. They utilize when you pay your mortgage payment, that's being passed through a trust, and the trust is then paying out the investors.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. It goes to the trustee of that REMIC. That REMIC then pays to the coupon holders who own the shares of that REMIC, and they want to come in and claim that they're the secured creditor, and that's why you have your UCC, because you didn't abandon your note for which they made a deposit, and they got cash value for it. So what are you doing, sitting there and acting like a debtor? And why are you, like what Don Kilam said, do your administrative process, do a Fair Debt Collection Practices Act on them. They're a debt collector. They're not the bank. You never deal with the bank. You never deal with the REMIC. You never deal with the RIT. So you need to just put them in their place. They are a sub-servicer, debt collector, and they are underneath the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. They don't have any rights as a creditor.
That's it. That's exactly it. And I address everybody. I address them in their individual and official capacity. I address them in their name and then their title.
If you're really dealing with it, you've got to deal with the REMIC. You can give notice to the sub-servicer debt collector who's sending you the bill, but you got to build a trust with the REMIC. And you got to put them as a trustee of your trust. And then that's when you do equity, because you're making a claim towards your actual assets, which includes all the security proceeds, rights, title, and interest on the REMIC. That's a claim and recoupment. Then you've got your land, which is your title at the county that you did and abandoned to the state. Then you've got your note, which is another asset. Then you've got all of the previous payments that you have made. Then you have your sweat equity for fixing up the house, cutting and mowing the lawn, making sure that everything is taken care of. Those are your sweat equities. Now you start to put the ledger together. How much was the note plus the interest over amortization of 30 years? What is its value? So that's your note value. That's what you gave to them, but you abandoned it at closing. So then they took it and then they deposited it at the Fed discount window, and they gave you nothing for it.
Correct.
Except that you're a beneficiary on a secret account that they will never tell you about. What about the title insurance? You had purchased title insurance. You claimed that policy number. What about the REMIC insurance? You claimed that as an asset. So that's what the UCC is for, is to list the asset ledger and its valuation so that you have a secure creditor and you make a security agreement in trust, in a private trust, and you start naming the trustees. This is what you're missing with the OID. So you need to put these people in trust before you do the OID so that you have a claim towards the proceeds. And they have securitized the accounts receivable, which are payment intangible. That's a separate security, and that's what the REMIC is for. They claim that they deposited the note, the deed, rights to the property, and the payment. But all they did was have the payment. They didn't deposit the note because, as I told you, they already deposited at the Fed discount window. They cannot transfer this asset and assign it to the REMIC. That's why notes were destroyed and the copies were used in the mirror system.
Correct.
So anybody else have a question about mortgages?
Oh, no. MERS is Mortgage Electronic Registration System. For people that don't know. But, yeah, I started
MERS, you look up the trademark for MERS, okay, and you will see that all the assets were then assigned to another party.
Correct.
So that's not MERS.
I had helped somebody at the beginning of the year this year, and that was the first time I had ever seen they got a mortgage, a forensic audit on their mortgage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that was the first time that's the first time I ever seen one. It blew my mind.
Really?
They signed off affidavits.
Yeah, that was. Well, we did other stuff with that, but the problem with the audits is that they label the person as the debtor and the borrower, and that's a big no-no. Because I don't need no third person coming in writing no affidavit on their so-called securitization report showing my name as a borrower. Then why would I enter that into the court if I'm the creditor? You know, that's a big no-no. The only thing that that's good for is that they have rights into the Bloomberg. But the Bloomberg would even tell you, you can't use our information on our screen if you don't have rights to it. You can't do that. You can't, and I've put in the QSIP numbers of all the securities into the court, and I claimed that in bankruptcy as my asset. I put the QSIP numbers as an asset list on the ledgering. So anyways, you know, that's a great thing. Your debts aren't discharged, go to bankruptcy. They'll discharge it for you.
Hey, Don.
You still have to deal with the lien.
Can you hear me, Don?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
How y'all doing? This is Kenny L. I'm in a situation right now with a mortgage. I had been fighting them, you know, 'cause I paid them like $10,000 at the closing, and once I seen Mears was on my paperwork, 'cause I started going through my paperwork, and one of my elder Moors, you know, he's familiar with it too. He was like, "Don't pay them, let's fight them, 'cause they don't supposed to be on nobody's paperwork, and they supposed to be giving their houses back." So I've been fighting them. I went to court, and they ruled to foreclose it, and I filed a motion to stay, and I've been filing affidavits for discovery for the 1099 from the judge, and she said that it wasn't on the sheriff's sale anymore. That was back in April of this year.
Yeah. So what state are you from?
I'm from Indianapolis.
Okay. I'm not sure about Indianapolis, but when there's a judicial foreclosure, the clerk is the one who's handling the book. So
right.
If I'm dealing with a foreclosure or a tax sale, I recommend, and I don't know what's going to happen, but you can try to give the clerk a silver bond and to release the title. Remember how I was telling you yesterday to make a deed? So
I'm sorry, you said have the clerk give me a silver or what?
No, you give the clerk a silver bond.
Okay, a silver bond.
Yeah, I can
sir.
make sure y'all get one. Who y'all need a silver bond? I'll make sure y'all get one.
Yeah, that's
my silver is actually backed by silver, and thank God, Malik Kilam, he's got the gold in his teeth. He can make a gold bond with the diamonds. You know what I mean? We all need the full rack of the gold in our teeth and the diamonds, because that is the gold bond. It's better than a silver bond. But anyway, so the clerk is handling the books, and the banks are the debt collectors. They're not the creditor of the REMIC security. They're coming into court as an imposter. And then Rule 17 says that you have to be the damaged party to be the plaintiff. These people have not proven as they are the holder in due course of the original note. They cannot bring in a copy. So because you're already beyond that time, you're now dealing with a tax issue. So either one, they give you back your original note, or two, they give you back your title. But
that's what I asked them to do, right? Because I had before I went to court, I filed a Form 56 and a notice of rogatory, turning the judge into my fiduciary trustee over the trust, right?
And he is. But you should have named the plaintiff as your trustee to pay the taxes due to your estate.
See, I wasn't that in tune to the whole situation.
You can still do the Form 56 trustee, co-trustee to the bank's attorney who sued you. You can still do that.
I went through FHA loan to get the house.
And you're dealing with the government. Yeah, you're dealing with Treasury securities then. With the
Treasury
FHA
securities?
Loan. Yeah, you're dealing with the securitization, usually through the Treasury, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, one of the entities, Ginnie Mae. Who was your bank originally? FHA?
No, I went through American Mortgage Service Company.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're a third-party broker-dealer.
And before I could pay...
gave you an FHA loan.
Yeah, and before I could pay the first mortgage, they switched this to Ameris Home Mortgage Company. That's when my antennas went up.
Servicer. They're just a sub-servicer, sir. You're not dealing with the true creditor. The true creditor is the REMIC.
I thought the true creditor was me because I created the credit.
That's correct. You created the credit, but because you signed the mortgage, you became the borrower debtor. So correct. You had your property just for that moment, and then you surrendered your rights, title, and interest to the bank in a fraudulent transaction. So correct. You abandoned your note, and then they made the deposit at the Fed discount window, and they got paid because all of these people are not creditors. They get letters of credit from the Treasury to act as banks, and then banks hire these third-party broker-dealers who then make your mortgage and package it to be resold. And that was the agreement between the Treasury and these third-party brokers and these banks, is that you will package this and then have it securitized.
In my dispute letters that I start off, is much to my understanding that they use trust and corporate entities as pass-through entities, and they take the genuine original note, and they securitize a new and fraudulent note. And they call these notes promissory notes and or deeds of trust notes, when in reality the note is a security by true definition. And then they are
by
buying,
true definition, it has a maturity date beyond 9 months, so it's a security. And it's
correct.
Not a
Now,
note. And that just by that definition, the judge doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about when he calls you in. You didn't pay on your promissory note. We're going to foreclose on your property. Really? You don't even know the definition of what a note is. Correct. You shouldn't even be talking to me. This isn't even about foreclosure. This is about securities and the rights of a secure party creditor, which these people who are plaintiffs are imposters trying to pretend to be holders, but not holders in due course of the note. So I'm asking you to produce the original note to be the holder in due course with rights to enforce this particular security. And do you have your broker-dealer license here today? Okay, because you're dealing in securities. And you know that when there's a taxable termination and you remove this property out of the REMIC, that there is going to be a tax involved when you only can hold it for 3 years as the REMIC before you're going to be taxed. So you're actually broker-dealering for a REMIC, and I want to see your Series 7 license. I want to see your registration with the state. And the attorney's going to be like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I'm going to call you in, and I'm going to report you for securities fraud because you don't got your license, sir. Okay, you're an imposter creditor. You're not even a creditor. Give me a fucking break. You're representing for this mortgage company who's actually the debt collector.
Just real quick, so when she's speaking of REMIC, that is the real estate mortgage investment conduit. You are the true investor. That's why you're the head of this credit, so to speak. You are the true creditor. But any which way you look at it, when you make the payment, you're making the investment.
Yep, now, you already did the first issue. You already put in the money. So that's why he's calling you the creditor. You are the REMIC.
When you have an understanding of such as she's speaking of, like when you know that you're, like she can express it. She knows how to express it.
Oh, I was talking to the Washington, D.C. head master's degree attorney for Washington, D.C. IRS. And this lady, I was drilling her on REMIC taxation. And she was like, oh, you did an OID. I'm like, what the fuck, bitch? Yeah, I did an OID. What the fuck are you talking about? Of course I did an OID. I'm the original issue. What are you talking about? No, you don't have rights. You can't do OID.
I think it's important, like when you're saying, like when you're speaking of that, this is why you can report the fraud to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Federal Trading Commission. You have to report the
reason why they had to shut down the SEC, OCC from all these people was because I was the one flooding the United States with people complaining to the OCC that they had to branch off and make the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They had to get another entity involved. Okay? And that's because we flooded the OCC with securities fraud on the remix. And they couldn't handle it. They weren't going to investigate. I got letters over here from the OCC. Then they couldn't take the fact that they owed the taxes on all these remix. And that's what I was talking to the attorney in Washington for the IRS. I was like, you need to go over to the remix who have money and tell them to pay their taxes, because there's a lot of taxable termination going on with these foreclosures. And they're not paying their taxes.
Right,
they're
exactly.
removing assets out of the trust. So either one, you have to collapse the remix, or two, you're going to have to penalize these remix. And she didn't know anything about remix taxation.
It's to my understanding, on the private side, you're just gifting everything, so that's how it avoids the taxation.
No, a gift, no. When you're dealing with securities, even the investors and the trustees of the remix, they got to pay the inheritance tax if it's dealing with an estate. Now, if you just gift in blank, like I told you, I'm an Indian giver. When I give you something, I'm going to put a condition on it, and I want it back. So that's an Indian giver. So when you put a condition on it, your gift, then there's going to be stipulation that's coming from your estate. So that's no longer, that's the type of a gift and an inheritance tax that they can deal with. Because you're not, just because you're a nonprofit and you're dealing in securities, and this is how the cities and the counties and the state and all these other remix want to run around and say that we got tax exemption. No, not when it comes to the estate inheritance tax, sir. No. Look at the law. You do have a tax when you're dealing with my estate, and you are receiving proceeds from my estate, and you will pay for the taxes. And if you don't, then I will self-assess the taxes for you so that it comes back to me. You understand? So then this judge is like, what the fuck? I had the prosecutor running around. I had everybody running around the courtroom talking about it for 2 years, dealing with the tax issue. It's just like they can't handle it. They don't know anything about securities. And the judge, definitely in Illinois or wherever you're from, they have securities tied into that court case with the CRIS account, CRIS, Court Registry Investment System. And we talked about that last night, right? So they're not dealing in a real case. They're dealing in securities for your court case. So what are you doing trying to fight with them on the law unless you have a fraud involved? That's the only reason why I use statutory law, is either there's a forensic accounting issue, and then that's accounting fraud because there's an off-balance sheet transaction that labeled you as a beneficiary of the credit for the note that you provided to them, which was a negotiable instrument. So you can do a discharge with another note. You give them the same thing that they claimed that they gave to you, but you actually gave them the note. So you discharge that with a note. You can discharge that with a bond. You have a silver bond. You've got silver coins. You back that with silver. And Don Kilam has a copy of the silver bond. If you don't know how to create it, I create my own silver bond.
Yeah, I mean, when you know what sureties are, man, it's called, I'll put it in the chat, affidavit of silver surety. I'll put it in the chat again.
Well, I'm not in the chat, but I'm on my phone.
They want to, they're asking private. They want to know if you discharged anything. I don't usually answer questions like that, but I show people all the time, man. You can listen. You can look up my name, my government name in Missouri court. You can look up some court documents. Why do you want to know if anything's discharged if you don't even have a concept in your mind? See, I can show you what I discharge, but that would just be obnoxious.
Shit,
I only care about if you get a foreclosure, if you understand the concept that I'm saying. There's nobody who's over you. There's nobody who has dominion because you have the knowledge. You
Correct.
make those people discharge the debt.
That's
you
what I'm
don't
going to
sit
do.
on their ass, right?
Just
Just like Don Key Lamb said, you report their ass to the OCC, the SEC. Go up to the Treasury, report them for not discharging the debt. Issue them the 1099 for their abandonment and your acquisition of the note. Do
Which
what you have
1099?
to do. The 1099-A
Okay.
for the abandonment
so which
on
part,
their side.
are you talking about for mortgages and foreclosures?
I'm talking about anything that you want to deal with the IRS on, whether if it's a credit card, you're dealing with the application because it's an open-ended credit. It's not like a mortgage. You can't treat everything the same way. It has different rules involved. You're dealing with accounts receivable and tangible under UCC 9 when you're dealing with accounts receivable, also on mortgages as well.
I'm doing OID class tomorrow, but where people are messing up
That's cool.
I believe people are messing up is because you're not. You have to address the administrative process first. You have to follow the administrative rules first and try to seek remedy administratively first.
Because you're in an admiralty proceeding where everything is contract. You can do
their
it
court,
through the
their system, whoever.
Right.
If you have a contract with, say, U.S. banks, you have to try to settle that and get remedy through them first before I can assess the tax.
See, that's what I've been trying to do with this mortgage company.
No, you're way beyond the point of dealing with the mortgage company.
I figured that. I'm still in the house. I'm still in the house.
But I'm saying that there's a judgment, and when there's a judgment, it has to be cured through the clerk of the court.
But it's not on
to your title.
It's not on the sheriff's sale anymore.
Oh, I know, sir. But it's almost like I'm putting a net over your house, and I've got a judgment lien, and I can sell it at any time. So I need my house to get out of captivity under slavery.
Yeah.
So I have to tender the bond to the clerk who's holding on to the books of this judgment for this dollar amount. And so then the clerk becomes the trustee, and the bank becomes the trustee over your settlement, which you have to tender an instrument. But as I already told everybody, the reason why you don't get the discharge is because I see that you're still dealing with a minor account. You've got locks on your Social Security. So if you don't know negotiable or non-negotiable instrument law, I'm just giving you that you can discharge the debt. But all the thing involved with your mortgage, right? And I've told you, it's title, it's insurance, it's security, it's payment intangible. Are you capturing those things? Do you have rights as a secure creditor of those things? Because everybody else has rights except you. So now I'm going to label you as a debtor. So how does a debtor get out of debtor prison? He has to tender a bond in admiralty, and that's how the vessel gets released. That's just on the title side. So I'm discharging the claim, and that's what I mean. I don't have any paperwork. I could sit here. I have tons and tons of things that I come up with, but you know what? At the end of the day, if I'm going to make somebody do something, I need to understand the concept of why I'm doing it and what law that is based off of. You know, even though I know that my Social Security has a minor disability lock on it.
I do have paperwork to, just verify everything you just said. But, I'm doing that class next month. But just real quick, when you're doing these letters, I do, these dispute letters, with mortgages, I'm addressing the bank or whoever did the mortgage, any bank and mortgage involved. And then I'm doing the consumer complaint with the Secretary of State. We're doing a federal criminal case with the district court. We're addressing it with the Attorney General's office. We're addressing it with the FTC, the SEC. And then we do the claim of constructive and legal notice with the Department of Treasury.
And let me stop you right there. I want to stop you right there because Your administrative process is to make a record of all of their so-called violation and let them come forward and say, no, we're not in violation of that tax law. No, we're not in violation of that SEC law. No, we are the creditor. We're the secure creditor, or whatever that you're putting on your notice of dispute.
Correct.
You know, and under mortgage law, you have the right under TILA and RESPA to collect those type of information. But under credit cards, you may not have that. You only have the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act and your state Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which they don't have to disclose to you the REMIC. They don't, I mean, the special purpose vehicle that they're utilizing for your credit card. So I just go on to the website of the SEC and I look up all their securities, because credit cards, they got their securities on the SEC.
Correct.
And you can kind of pinpoint the year that you entered into that contract, and you can start reading the documents that they posted there for that security. Now you know who the parties that you're dealing with, the custodian, the trustee, the payout agent, and who are all the parties involved when you actually deal with these people on your notices. Those are the real parties and interests, are the security people. So when I default them, I'm defaulting the security so that they are out of the picture. So now the debt collector works for the security, and so what do they have to say for themselves? Nothing. So then if they keep persisting, then you got to sue them, like what Don Kilam was saying, you know, bring a case in the court against them.
And I mean, 9 times out of 10, they're going to run. Like, I usually don't, I mean, sometimes they try to send some stuff in the mail to re-contract with you. But other than that, man, I usually get it my way. Like, it's, and then after that.
Well, you were listing the different entities and who you were dealing with to give notice, and who was that?
Correct. So the different entities are, first and foremost, you need to understand why it's security fraud with the FTC and the SEC, okay? The Securities Exchange, when the securitizing agreements. A lot of people are getting messed up because they don't understand the securitization process. But the bank, the CFO or the CEO, if they don't have the CFO, address the CEO of the actual bank, and then the mortgage company. And anybody involved, if it's Fannie Mae, address them too. Then the Secretary of State, you're going to want to do a consumer complaint. And then the federal criminal case with your district courts, your U.S. district courts. Then Attorney General's office, you're going to do a criminal investigation request. And then claim and constructive legal notice with the Department of Treasury, and then a list pending with a certificate of service with the Superior Court. And then with the IRS, you do your 1099, or well, we do the A first, and then the OIDs with the 1041 and then 1056. And it's a cover letter. You tell them what to do. You tell the government what to do.
So you didn't do the 1099-B and the 1099-C?
No, I don't do that with my mortgages,
okay.
No.
Got it.
But yeah,
That's really awesome.
I've asked them for that too. I asked them to send me that, but you know, they
the next
like,
step is just learning how
Why
to
would you ask them to send you a 1099-A? Why?
The reason why I was just trying to get all the documents that they had when I filed a affidavit of discovery.
Yeah, the banks only do the 1099-A and 1099-C after they foreclose, and they give you the tax that they don't want to pay. So you never want them to give you a 1099-C.
No, I was saying the courts. I asked the court because whenever the court ruled, don't they have to file the 1099 on the judgment?
No. They have to file their GSA bond because they have to bond the whole transaction of their security. So
that's with the civil, right?
That's 274. Yeah, any civil or criminal.
Okay, I was under the assumption when they ruled in their favor to foreclose on the house that they would have to file a 1099.
Give them an instrument and tell them to return your title. Stop making this all complicated.
Yeah.
You already got a judgment. Just tender, and then get yourself out of the debtor position. You can do that with a bond. do that
that's
with a
why I
note.
came down here to see Don. I'm still learning as well.
Look at your note. Look at your note. Look at your note. It says borrower and it says lender. Okay? And
right.
It has a dollar amount, and they wrote out $100,000. And then they put the peso sign, the dollar sign, 100,000, comma, 000, whatever. So that's a promissory note. They claim that it's a note. So
but see, I never got a note. See, when I went through the FHA loan, they approved.
You never got a note? What the hell?
Man, let me tell you what happened. I went through the mortgage company, and I gave them like $10,000 down at the closing, and they gave me the keys.
That's the strangest transaction. I've talked to millions of people over mortgages, and I've never heard of a transaction without a note.
Yeah,
and
never.
After
if they never, okay, go ahead.
They never gave me I never seen a check deposited in my account or anything, right? So, like I said, when they sent me a letter to pay the mortgage to AmeriHome Mortgage, that's when I was like, hold up. And I started reading through the contract, and I seen mirrors, and I contact my people.
Hey, just forget about mirrors. Just forget about mirrors.
Right. Okay.
First of all, I just want to ask, how did they come into the court without a copy of the note to
because
try to enforce the note?
I never paid a mortgage. I never paid the mortgage. So when it went into default,
no, but they have to produce a copy of the note that you signed. The
contract. I mean the loan application.
Right, that's the loan application they turn into the securitization.
Correct.
So you have to make a claim on the application because it sounds to me like a credit card application because it's an open-ended account. So this is it's a different animal because let's say I see you and I'm the credit card company. I bring in the application. This is the application you sign in for an open-ended, credit card, and they take that for value at the court. In the case of a mortgage, in order to enforce a mortgage, you have to have the note and the security agreement, whether that's the deed of trust or that's the mortgage. So that's when you agree to be the borrower. In your case, they brought in the application, so that's not a mortgage.
I want you
to know
they brought in
the deed of trust that has no note.
If you demand to usually see the deed of trust, the original deed of trust, they won't bring it to the court.
I think I got the warranty deed, a warranty deed.
See, this is where I say when you tender this note, you discharge with a note. You tender a bill of exchange, you discharge with a bill of exchange. So basically, this is a new issue with the court case on the foreclosure to create a new issue with the judgment. So I often think to myself, well, if it's a judgment, why don't I just accept that as a non-negotiable instrument? Go down and get a certified copy of the judgment order, and it's got the dollar amount, right? They already give me the dollar amount. I just flip it on the back, and I pay to the order of the United States Treasury, write in the dollar amount without recourse, sign as the authorized representative for this all uppercase red name. Okay? So then I'm doing a trust special deposit into the clerk because they gave me a judgment. I got to turn it into something. Now I go run over to the UCC and I file a lien on it. Then I do a UCC-3 and I assign it to the clerk. So now they have the asset. It's no longer abandoned.
Okay.
Look at the judgment. It has a dollar amount on it. Turn it into a non-negotiable instrument.
$1.
When it's all negotiable instrument, it's a negotiable. You could put $1 postal money order. You could put $1 postage stamp. You give it value. Okay, you got to send it registered mail. And then that bonds the transaction. You've got to put a box around your writing so that your cargo doesn't go overboard because the pirates are going to get your cargo. So you have the authorization to do that. You could put your social security number down there. You say, charge this clerk here, and credit the memory of this court case, and of this clerk who's the trustee, and then credit the memory of this social security number. So what they gave to you was the remedy, just like how they give you a voucher is the remedy. But you guys just think that it's just a piece of paper, and then you abandon it by giving back the piece of paper voucher along with the check. Why? Why are you not turning your vouchers into negotiable instrument? Why? Because the A for V doesn't work because there's a block on your social. But you are a private banker. That's what Don Key Lam has taught to you. You are a private banker. You have the right to utilize the credit. Go down to the Social Security Administration. Tell them to remove the minor disability on your Social Security account.
It's public information, man. Just look it up. Google who does the U.S. owe the bankruptcy to or the national debt? Who do they owe? It's owed to the United States citizens, the taxpayers, and the Social Security Trust.
He's just telling you that there's a trust involved. And you are, if you're a taxpayer, you're a beneficiary.
Yeah,
that's who the
and
debt
that's
is owed
public
to.
information. They do not hide this.
She said the minor disability account, right?
No, the minor disability. They put a minor disability on your Social Security number account. So then, if I told you, were you here last night?
As soon as you apply for a Social Security number, you're considered a minor.
Right.
Keep in mind that we're not talking about the person as well. The person is a minor, but we're talking about a minor account, and we're talking about a hold on the minor and the master account, and they are after the master account.
Yeah. You're dealing with like
you have your person. The name on the front of that social is a debtor. The name, there's no name on the back. They ask you to sign your social. Therefore, you are the surety for that name, that debtor, who is going to be used in commerce. That's why I taught you, you put the red letter as the debtor, all uppercase. You put the blue, all uppercase, as the creditor. Now, you hold both sides of the accounting, which is true redemption, because I could do a zero balance. And when Peter Popolowski, he said, show me anybody who does negative accounting and gets a discharge. I want to talk to them. And I was like, dude, just put a negative sign in front of the number. You got a credit, man. What's there to teach? What's there to teach? They gave me a voucher. They didn't put a negative number. I'm going to put a negative number. I'm going to get a credit. And who do I want to pay to? United States Treasury. And credit the memory of this account number. And credit the memory of my account, Social Security account. And if I got a trust, put my EIN there. Because Don Key Lam's going to teach you how to do the OID with your trust. And that's 1041.
Okay, Don, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you turn your name into the LLC, huh?
I just learned a lot of stuff these last 2 days. I'll tell you.
I couldn't hear you, bro.
I said I learned a lot of stuff these last 2 days. I feel privileged.
Oh, my goodness. She done bust my head.
Hey, mine too.
But listen, okay, you said we put our name in the LLC, right?
This is what I do, yeah.
And what about the copyrighting your name? Because I copyrighted my name and Social Security number.
Yeah, first of all, the common law copyright, get that done, and then I would do anything on the public side too. But at the end of the day, you just make sure that the private side is the majority. You own everything on the private side. Well, it's own that and control everything. But just making sure that you have a trust established. But I feel like holding companies can work just as good as trust.
Right. So when we create the LLC, when we turn the name into the LLC and we do the what is it, the SS4 or the SS4, that's the trust.
Correct. You can set up. So what I teach people, if say you set up a trust corporation on the with the Secretary of State, it's going to show up as a C corp then. So like I got secure party credit, like I showed people. I got a trust corporation. The trust incorporated corporation for the public side. So on the public side, it showed up as a C corp when you search the business through the Secretary of State.
I think that's
so it's going to show, but they're similar. Because, you know, if you have a trust,
you didn't do the C corp for your estate? You just did it for your trust?
I did this for a special trust for a business I was utilizing.
Mm-hmm.
In California, it's called secure party
credit.
Because
they can't see. Yeah, they can't see a trust, so it ends up to be a C corp in your election. Yeah.
Correct. So yeah.
Why do you register in California? It's like hella expensive.
No, I mean it's $100. Like, no, you don't have to pay that.
$800 in tax.
The trust is the incorporated. You got to understand. Then the trust laws are either going to be tied to South Dakota or Wyoming. So the true beneficial owner on the private side is because whoever you see. So it says the trust is the incorporator, and that's the agent. The registered agent is the trust, right? But as soon as that happens, and that's registered on the private side, you automatically resign as a trustee or the agent. Does that make sense? And then
Where do you register on the private?
And you can just have private documents within your private trust.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Just so say the court wanted to sue me or something. I'm like, hey, I've already resigned. That trust resigned, or that agent resigned. You know, so if you're in Wyoming, you do not have to show who your board members are, or who the registered agent. None of that. Yeah, same way with Delaware. Now on the trust law, it's the same way with South Dakota, North Dakota, Alaska. So it's about learning there are certain trust laws. I like using stuff they're going to understand that they can't dispute in court. This is why I like to know the codes and statutes.
Right, and what he said was really important, that he resigned from the agent capacity for that name. So you would give notice to the Secretary of State that you're no longer the registered agent for that name, and that name has a trust. And it's this LLC.
So
when they sue you, they have to serve your name papers in a summons. So you give notice to the Secretary of State, I am not the registered agent for that name anymore. I'm resigning as the registered agent.
As soon as I would get a mortgage, I would appoint an entity to hold the actual mortgage or the contract, and I would give the beneficial interest to the trust. I would give the beneficial interest to the trust to sell it for $1.
See, that's what I need to learn how to do, you know, because I've been fighting them for I've been in the house since 2018.
Yeah, and I fought the banks long and hard for many, many years. So mortgage companies, they don't die, and they just transfer servicing rights to other people. They're like a mummy who just doesn't die. And the reason why is because the debt is still outstanding, and because you have a judgment now, you have to settle the judgment through the court so that there's a ledger.
That's exactly right. And like what you're saying, because that's all dealing back with contracts and trusts. So you have to understand, the mortgage company is really a private trust company or a private trust corporation, and they're saying you handed off you was an heir. You know, you're handing off this title to the company, and you're making that mortgage company heirs of your estate now.
So
exactly what's going on.
With your power of attorney. Yep. And that's why they need a qualified heir bond to make a claim against your estate.
Yeah, they take your generational power, your generational wealth, and they hand it down their corporation. You
send them a revocation of power of attorney.
A revocation of power of attorney?
Yeah, or revocation of surety, same thing.
Revocation of surety is different. Revocation of power of attorney is to any agents related to the mortgage company and the REMICs who they service and the court.
My reputation and surety. My reputation and surety revokes signatures as well, though. Mine's a little different.
You're gonna be teaching all this tomorrow too, ain't you, bro?
Yeah, we going over the OID process. But mortgages is a little different. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can even ask her. It doesn't matter which subject you go. It's all a rabbit hole. So you just got to.
Right.
What happens to her is, you can probably ask her, to my clarity, because of how I gained this. I'm saying, man, she went through some shit, and she didn't give up. She went through the pain. She believed in something greater than herself. She had some faith, and then she seen the light.
Man, you hear me? Why you think I'm here?
Yeah, you can't see the light unless you went through the darkness. You can't.
Man, listen, man. I told him, man, I ain't got nothing for him.
So she, when you hear her voice, you could tell that she believes in something greater than herself. So obviously, she has a relationship with her higher power and her higher self.
Yeah, you know, that little still small voice.
That helps her. Yeah. So that helps you shine the light through the darkness and gain clarity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
That gives the hope to the world. Don't give up. Just keep going.
Don't give up,
yeah.
And study Don Kilam's OID and trust yourself. Know your higher power. There's nobody who is greater than God, and He will help you.
Man, I stopped him.
And you are the child of God. You are.
It all comes.
We can't make that up. Like, that's what it is. So wisdom comes from the Most High.
Right.
Follow me? You're not going to learn life from a book.
Definitely not.
So what I want to do is go back to the chat if anybody else has any other question, because somebody said, as you discharge any debt, and I want to know, is this why you're in the class? Is to discharge debt?
Well,
is that why you're in the class?
I'm not in the class to discharge debt, even though I want to do that as well. But
that got me nowhere. That messed my life up.
What's that?
Yeah.
Discharging
debt.
I'm still rebuilding with banks.
Yeah. You know, I did a dispute on Credit Karma because it had my name and the loan through the mortgage company. I did a dispute through TransUnion, and they sent me some paperwork back saying that the dispute, that the amount had decreased to $195,000. I've been.
But that's not the creditor.
Yeah, I'm about to mute them. They said they wanted to chat. That's why I muted.
Sorry, hello. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. Can somebody hear me?
Yes, we could hear you.
Okay. Sorry. I have a question. I have some ailing parents, and I was wondering, how do I claim the securities on the house that they're in there?
Well, I don't understand the question. The securities on the house that you live in?
Yes.
Do you have a security agreement with somebody?
No, I don't. I was wondering if I could create a trust and then put the house in the trust.
First of all, I want to ask you, do you own the house?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, then this is more like an adverse claim type of a situation?
Yeah, that's probably what it would be.
Okay, adverse claim has been really misunderstood because every state law has a different adverse claim. And it really is tied into the property tax. So who pays the property tax, let's say for 5 years, or 10 years, they could bring a claim in the court to say that this owner has abandoned their interest and they have proprietary rights towards the title to the real property. So you can, if you're in an abandoned house, I don't know what the situation is there, if you broke into a house or what the situation is, but I came across a lot. It's not a bad thing to break into houses, if you don't got a place to live. And some of these houses are abandoned and you start taking care of it, as my friend Sly was teaching. And I gave him some information on the adverse possession But what I learned is that every state has their own law, and it has to do with property tax. And you have to give notice to the current owner that you're doing this, because if you don't, then it's going to be considered burglary if you just move into someone else's property.
I do want you to know that most cities also have programs that work with their state, so you can probably mow the lawn for like a year, and they'll let you have the house for a little to next to nothing.
There you go. There's a lot of different programs like that, and people need to get creative in these times as we go into the reset of the currency. And like I said, look up for the property tax. You know, sometimes you can buy land or real property for dirt cheap in a property tax sale.
Now, what I want to say, dealing with the trust really fast, when you do end up getting a mortgage or property, you're going to want to make a land trust. So wherever the address would be, say you lived at 420 High Street, it would be the 420 High Street Land Trust. And that's how you would start addressing that property on private documents.
You can name your trust anything. And it's a land trust. Sometimes they don't distinguish between land trusts and regular trusts, but a land trust holds that real property is what he's saying.
Yeah. Because my parents are in their 80s, so, you know, they're getting old. So I was wondering, how do I help them out?
If your parents, do you have a mortgage? Do they have a mortgage on the property?
Yes, they do.
Okay. So when you make a trust, you can make a trust, and then they would be the grantor, and then they would grant on a quitclaim or a deed of trust, a grant deed to the trust. And then you would have a trustee of that trust. And then you can start claiming the mortgage asset as the entity trustee of putting those assets into trust. So the mortgage, the note, the deed, the title, everything, you put it into a trust. And when they pass away, then you are the inheritor of their estate. So then when it gets to the court, then you have everything already claimed in a trust on a UCC-1. So then they're going to be like, oh, this guy, he's inheriting, so we're just going to go attack the estate to make the payment towards the creditor. And you say, no, that's not the way it works. Okay, I put everything into trust. Now I'm, whatever entity is the trustee, I represent for this trust, and it's already been claimed as non-abandoned property. So you're dealing with a series of events that will be coming up, depending on what happens with your parents.
Yeah.
You know? So you just want to prepare and put that into trust.
Right.
Some files in the chat to teach you so start learning about reconveyance as well. So I'll put that in the chat. It'll teach you all about some of the vocabulary that she's using, and learn about reconveyance, how you can reconvey.
Reconvey. Okay.
Yeah, full reconveyance.
Because it's all dealing with your estate, because everything comes from your birth certificate. And if you're not from this country, your citizenship is the birth of the new issue. Stop. That's what Dr. Lam taught you. So everything comes from that.
Once you give them, you protest the opportunity to cure and everything, and it discharges all, with the Secretary of the Treasury and all of that, man. They give you a full reconveyance, but you have to demand it first. You have to stress everything.
That's when you already tender, and then you inform them of your trust or whoever that's holding the title, your land trust, and then you ask for the full reconveyance because you've already tendered, and then you've already done your administrative procedure, and you're dealing with the Secretary of Treasury. That's what he's talking about. So then you get the full reconveyance of your title. That's what you want, and he's telling you that there's a form, which I think with the Agriculture Department we brought up through my friend Brett, put it out on the internet, but you could do a similar situation with the agriculture form for the release of the lien.
Now,
which goes to the county recorder.
When you finally, you go through your county recorder and you see who you still have the deeds, and you look everything up. Then you take that information with your trust and your land pad, and then you go to the Department of Interior. That's how Jade is.
You know,
that's
deep. That's really deep, man. He's getting into a lot of steps here. He's talking about land patents. He's talking about trust. He's going to the Department of Interiors, and then what are you doing there?
No, I just want you to know, like, that's how so-called like Cherokee Nation and Navajo Nation. That's how they get their land, their reservations. They're all
Navajo land are on sacred land. They're already land patent. They're already land patent, and no court can supersede the treaties. Just like the Moors. The Moors have treaties that cannot be superseded by any constitution.
Correct. And
I
like
disagree. I disagree with the Moors, you know, going out and doing adverse claims and whatnot, because
I don't do
those are
adverse
other
claims.
people's property too.
Yeah, I don't speak on adverse claims. That's why I don't. You know, 'cause I know people that was planting flowers and getting it out. You know what I'm saying? One flower.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, there's always programs out there. And
yeah, just do it. I'd
you
rather
know,
do
now
it with the
when
state.
you
Yeah, I'd rather do it with the city or the state. Yeah, I do it their way.
So what I see from Don Kilam's process is, and I haven't watched all of the videos, but just one, is that the LLC grades business credit, which then you can pay with other credits. But whatever that you pay is an OID back to you through your trust. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that my understanding? Okay.
Yeah, so if
so
if
then
you know,
it's like a whole cycle.
Yeah, so say you don't know how to because we already know about
discharge
the
that.
taxpayer, correct? Yeah, so say you don't know about trust, right? You don't know how to use, but you know a little bit about business. So you would just make your LLC a disregarded entity, so the tax liability goes back on the straw man.
You can mute me back.
Hello? So, hello?
Yeah, you can mute me back now.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah, what I was saying is that just makes the tax liability. If you got LLC, you don't ever have to pay taxes on it if it's disregarded entity. That flows, right?
Because it's a pass-through entity. That's why it's a disregarded entity, and therefore the LLC has no taxes, and what the bill is the tax.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find his name so I can mute him back. I got most phones have their own mute button.
What's this document you got up there now, Don? The private banking?
I put it in the chat. That's the private banking document is for full reconveyance. Once you've already done your offset.
I don't have any of the chat information or the recording, so you'll have to email the recording to me and the documents. I'm sorry to put you through that because I'm not on the chat.
Okay, I'll make sure you get it. I don't see guys.
Or if somebody else gets it, they can email it to me, and then that would be good so I don't cram Don Kilam's time with my
No, I'll definitely make sure you got it. You took your time and like I'm still going over the information you've given me. Like, you're amazing. You're amazing because you can express it. You can express it the way you can express it. You would make a judge run.
Oh, yeah, I do make judges run all the time, and I was so impressed with your story with the video camera judge. And you had said yesterday that you did the Bureau of Public Debt, which is the Bureau of Physical Service now, the account number, and then the EIN for the LLC, and then I missed the third part, that the identifier that you had given.
I always use the EIN. I always use, if you have an LLC with the state, with the Secretary of State, you're going to need they'll give you a certificate of good status or good standing. Mm-hmm. So if you don't even have this, you can't even get business credit. But this is to let them know that your business is lawful. The reason why I started really looking into this is because when you get a federal case, they look all these up. They want to know if you own a business or an LLC. I'm like, I wonder why. They want to know if you own anything that's copywritten. I'm like, why do they want to know all this? If you got anybody that's interested, they get something called a PSI, pre-sentence investigation. And it shows your net worth and net value and anything that's attached to you that has any type of, whether it's a debt, asset, or liability. It's in there. So that's when I really started studying. Like, why do they need to know all this information? And I'm like, man,
because if they sue you, they want to know if you have assets and how much your entity is worth. And when you go get credit, and then they look up your credit profile, what did you call it? Paydex credit?
Yeah,
is that
Paydex. Yeah, the Paydex score. You know, and the only reason why I ended up first getting the Duns and Bradstreet number, I didn't understand how important it was with the credit. I only got it because all the attorneys and judges had them. So I said, shit, I'm getting me one too. You know, if they can do it, I can do it. You know, I've been to law school.
I listed mine, and then when I went through bankruptcy, they put bankruptcy on my estate, and I was like, no, that's a foreign estate. So basically, Dun & Bradstreet, you want to list it as a trader or securities broker, or, you know, something to deal with securities when you register for the Dun & Bradstreet.
Correct. Well, I do everything with mine as you know, either trust administration or business management and consulting. So there's not a problem.
You need to add in the securities, even though you're not a broker yet.
Yeah.
Because it's all securities.
Correct. I just do that because there won't be no red flags when dealing with other businesses' assets. Or even like if you're an accounting or bookkeeping company, you can deal with other people's assets.
Is there any other questions in the group? I'm sorry to cut you off.
Let us know if you have any. No, you're fine. Let us know if you have any more questions. I'm showing them Duns and Bradstreet right now to let them know it's not hard to get your name.
Cool. You should get your Duns for your estate and the Duns for your trust. And you can have foreign trust there. You can have domestic trust there. You can have foreign estate there. As long as it's got the EIN number. And then they're not going to want to deal with you. Because when they're suing your name, you're the debtor. And then now you don't have any standing capacity for your debtor estate because you don't have power of attorney. And so how are you having capacity? You're dead, and you're civilly incompetent. You're civilly dead, and then you got to go through an attorney if you want the judge to hear from the corpse, from the ground. You're dead. So you can only speak through your will. Your will speaks beyond the grave.
They want to know if you have any more, if you have any book suggestions, any YouTube people.
My YouTube I took down, but other people have posted Captain Jade, Creo Harmony. They reposted a lot of the video. I have no idea. The Vatican's got my information. The Russians got my information. They're housing it in Iceland on a server. I took down all that information. When I went private, I went completely private. There wasn't anything left except my Duns.
Yeah. That's what one of my teachers did, too. One of my teachers went completely private, man.
One of the questions was, do I have a YouTube? No, I don't. Not anymore. The other question is what?
If you recommend any books. And if you recommend anybody's YouTube that they can learn from.
Yeah, Peter, I love his material. He recommends a couple books like ABC, UCC. I recommend that people don't use the UCC 1-308. You need to go with your state UCC because your state has already adopted into law the UCC, and if you just cite UCC this and that, it's not a law that anybody has to follow.
Right. That's it.
You use your state, and if they're international, you say anything applicable to the Uniform Commercial Code within another territory and jurisdiction. And then Peter, Radiant Clone, has a couple of videos. One that I would recommend is Secured Creditor video. That's one where he goes and he talks about the bonds that he's done with the Treasury and how he goes through the process of this kind of, he's got a couple of videos through Radiant Clone. And if anybody knows him, please put me in contact with I know Radiant Clone, but he's not releasing Peter's contact to me. So it's okay, because I just look at the information and I'm like, yep, nope, yes, no. And then I make my own stuff, because I don't follow anybody. Like if I look at a piece of paper, I'm rewriting the whole thing. You know, because at this point, it's, you know, like what Don Kilam is saying, you know, what are you going to operate in? And you have an LLC, or you got a nonprofit, or you got a corporation. And then what your trust is. And then you have to put the assets into trust. And then who's your trustee of your trust? Who's your beneficiary? Make a will. Make a will for your estate. Because that's what speaks beyond the grave, is your will. Now your trust is a inter vivos trust, is what I said, and a foreign situs trust, which means the situs of the asset is located somewhere else, not within the jurisdiction of the United States. So within the United States alone, you can be foreign to the United States. And what we were talking about today was the passport, and the passport, and you're a state national to make yourself foreign to the United States, because everybody who's a taxpayer is located in District of Columbia. So you need to divorce yourself from Washington District of Columbia as a taxpayer for your Social Security name. Your Social Security is an account, and it's linked to multiple other accounts. And then it has a master account, and that master account is sitting at the Bank of International Settlement. So, you know, you guys are messing with stuff that, if you don't have full knowledge of the UCC, which is why you deal in securities law, is you have to talk about the UCC and then do what Don Kilam is doing. Study securities law. Study all of the, you know, securities law of, let's say you're dealing with a mortgage. So you look up the REMIC laws and the taxes related to REMIC, because it's a tax matter that's tied back into your estate, which is in probate, that you're not even in a probate court. And when you do the name change, you're in a probate court. So leave the court open so that you can do your administration of your estate to make a ledger in your probate court. Appoint the Attorney General as your trustee, your co-trustee of your state, and at the federal level as a co-trustee. And you know, people always like to run around and say, I'm the live man, I'm on the land, I'm a Moor. And that's great, man. You know what? We're dealing with your account, so what? We're dealing with a corporate entity, so what? The live man, like Don Kilam has said, these laws apply to person. Are you a person? You step your foot into court and you say, I'm that person. Well, then every taxation law applies to you, man. Do your accounting. Well, you're a bad debtor. We're just going to take your property. Because even the word person is a debtor. Even the word person is a taxpayer. So you're responsible for your vessel, and you have to do your accounting every year for your state tax and your federal tax. So you got to tell them what this debtor vessel has been doing in commerce. And then that's your duty, is to do the accounting.
I look at it like this. Look at any criminal statute. It always says, if a person commits this, if a person. So I don't even say I'm improper persona. I don't even use that word. And I know a lot of people use that. And
Improprior persona.
Yeah, I don't use improper persona, improper person. I stay away from even that word. You know, I get a lot of Moors get mad at me. I don't use aboriginal, because if I said you was abnormal, what would that mean? I would never use those words. That don't, like she said, that doesn't even matter in accounting. Now, when you're dealing with the OID issue, this is original issue discount. So you want to be the original issue. You follow me? So it doesn't matter, like you said, it doesn't matter if you're at original.
When you say that you're the original issue, you're just saying that you got credits from my estate and my trust. And I'm due back that original credit that you stole from me because you failed to pay your taxes. And now I'm going to be assessing you for the dollar amount that you billed to me as the credit that you were utilizing, that you didn't credit the memory of my account. So that's all that's happening. It's just what he's saying is the original issue is your estate, your trust is the source of the funds. So what I want to impart on you is that there's no paperwork in the world. If you know the knowledge, there's no paperwork in the world that can stop you. Right. And what anybody is coming at you. Just like this man who had the mortgage and they claimed that it's a foreclosure. Well, I asked him, where's the note? If there's a foreclosure, you have to be foreclosing on the debt. And he's like, well, it's a application. So then you know that your application is a valuable asset. Then you need to claim that, right? If you don't claim that and they securitize your credit application, which they always do on every single transaction, it has every information. It has your social. It has your name. It has your address. It's got your credit rating. It has all of the cargo assets for them to securitize against your estate as payment intangible. So that's an asset, and you need to claim that. And you need to give notice to the clerk and say, this is the asset that is in trust or wherever that I'm making the claim as the beneficial interest holder of this account. And I'm actually tendering. See, even the word payment is incorrect. You can't pay anything unless I take the gold out of Don Key Lamb's teeth and I pay you. I can't do that. I can only discharge.
To be honest,
if you do a full acquittance.
To be honest, if you know how the true bartering, what's going on, if all you have is your shirt because they're on the bankruptcy, they'd have to take your shirt to offset the debt.
What?
Of course, man. Listen, they're operating under bankruptcy, dog.
You right.
You know, everything is bartering and trading. You know, they just got you locked on their vibration, on their frequency. That's why they're called government actors. You know, and right now they just hold the book of life. You know, so whatever goes on the record goes. This is why I think the paperwork is important, but the verbal consent is powerful as well. Is what you say. And I'm not trying to go against nobody's religious beliefs or nothing, whatever his name is. But there was a man that a lot of people call Jesus, right? So it's to my understanding that this man, like, he didn't need no paperwork. You know, that's what made him so cold.
That's a common law, man. He don't need no paperwork, but he's not part of Babylon. We don't need no paperwork. He's a common law man. He lost the last name. He's no longer in Babylon. So last name is the war name. And the other thing that I would recommend is the law merchant. Anything related to the law merchant you want to read, because that's in their contracts. And what I'm heavily into is insurance and guarantee contracts, because the ABA has announced that they're going with the not guardianship, but guarantee contract, and those are indispensable. If they put you into insurance is one thing, but when they put you into guarantee contracts, that's like no nuclear blast is going to deal with that situation. So you have to get into the guarantee contracts and the insurance policy, which has different laws associated to it. And when you're dealing with a mortgage, you're also dealing with guarantee contracts as well. That's why they don't go away. And the same thing goes with student loans, is that they got the guarantee backed by the United States Treasury if it's a federal loan. And I'm sure the FHA is the same way. So at the end of the day, you're still dealing with Steve Mnuchin, Secretary of Treasury, because they want to claim to be the guarantor of these securities.
I never,
contract.
You just put so many, I got light bulbs clicking in my head when you just said that. Thank you so much. So you signed it.
Problem.
So they're signing as there's a guarantee on that.
They're a guarantee, and a part of the trenches of the REMIC, some of them are guaranteed by the United States Treasury.
Wow,
So
I did not know
they have
that.
reinsurance. Mm-hmm.
That is
depending on, like, you're dumping loans into these trenches of these REMICs, and it has one master CUSIP, but then in each trench it's got a separate CUSIP, which is why you become a broker-dealer, so you can look up the mortgage and you can see which trench that you're actually dealing in with that CUSIP, and if it's actually guaranteed by the United States Treasury.
Well, if you have a Fidelity account, like, like regular stocks and bonds, they give you all of that, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, no, but you can't go, like, you can't look up, like, loan number and get CUSIP. You have to be a broker with a Bloomberg to see that.
They only show me what I've had my investments in on the public side.
Did you get your birth certificate through Fidelity?
No, I don't. I've looked it up myself. I've looked it up myself, but like nobody from Fidelity is giving it to me.
That's what I did, Don. Yeah, I looked it up myself and put my Social Security number in there. You wouldn't believe the money that was on it, on the mature.
I'm gonna call it a night, guys. We're gonna do the OID class tomorrow. You know, I appreciate everybody that's came.
Thank you.
Hey, I appreciate you so much. And
hey, Don.
I'm gonna contact you as soon, probably after the weekend's over with.
Don.
Sure, no problem.
Before you go, where are we having the meeting at tomorrow?
Did you text me, man?
Okay.
And if anybody's in this class, like I got, did you text me? Was it you? You didn't leave a donation, did you?
This Kenny L. I texted you earlier.
Did you leave a donation?
Yeah, about the class.
I had somebody donate for one free ticket for tomorrow. So if anybody's in the class,
through Cash App, I sent you the what's name to text it to you.
All right, just text me, man. I'll make sure you get the location.
It was in Alicia Drake.
Am I signed up for the class tomorrow?
Yeah, it's gonna be on the same channel, but I'm doing it live.
Oh, okay.
So if anybody wants to come that's in the Atlanta area, they can come free. Anybody that's in the class, I'm just asking $100 donation. I'm giving away $1,000 cash. I might have some other prizes. I'm doing food, drink.
That's amazing. I wish I
do that every seminar.
To meet you.
Every seminar, man.
I love that.
$1,000 on food. Come on, man. I'm using credit cards. Come on, we're gonna offset this.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's what I'm talking about. So thank you so much for hosting this call.
Yes, man. I appreciate you once again. Listen, you taught me so much. Like, listen, just so God answers your prayers. That's all I'm going to say. I've been looking for somebody I can talk to, somebody such as your status.
And I thank you, too, for your, excellent work and everything that you've shared with the community. It's enlivening, and you put people in touch with all the right information, and you make it very clear so that everyone can follow it. So thank you for that.
Hey, you made some of my students was like, you haven't heard of her? Where you been, Don? I'm like, I haven't heard of her. Like, what you want me to do?
We were in the spiritual realm together.
That makes me feel blessed that you came and blessed me with your presence. Just know that, and you've already touched people's lives that I'm connected to. You listen. At least 12 people reached out to me last night. Told me they already know who you are.
Awesome.
How much you've already touched them. So just know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're probably light speed ahead of me, because I come up with all sorts of new things every day. And I give you guys the most recent information, which is the deed, the acceptance of under a deed, and, the trust. So it's kind of like 10 years, and then you speed up, and then you're talking about stuff that, presently that is valuable. Like when you master what Don Kilam has done with the mortgages and, the land patent, and then you're like, oh my gosh, what am I got myself into? You know.
It feels good when I'm with somebody that can express it though, where other people can understand it. Because the way you can express it, I can't express it like you. You got a different comprehension, so they might learn something from you that they might not be able to learn from me. So it just feels great that you just came on here and you just dropped your gems and your jewels for the world.
You.
So, yeah, man, I appreciate you.
You guys are as well. Everybody's asking the right questions, you know.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
keep at it.
Yeah, I'll make sure I send you some emails out tomorrow. I'm gonna be emailing everybody tomorrow. And
then, just send me like the link for the audio and what the text or whatever video conference that you got going on if you have time.
Yes, ma'am. And everything that you recorded, I'll make sure that you get it. And you have my if you want to upload it.
Man, you were on Facebook Live yesterday. Oh my gosh, I feel so embarrassed. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's good.
I didn't know that.
But yeah. No, it's so good. It's okay. But yeah, thank you. Enjoy your night. Thank you.
All right, you too. Good night.
Peace and love. Good night, everybody.